let's do this with Jim. I want to. There's his book. Bring up his book here, man. Oh, there's a chart. Bring in Jim Rogers right now. There's a book, A Gift to My Children, A Father's Lessons for Life and Investing. And let's bring in Mr. Rogers. Bring him in here right now. Nice to have you here.
I'm delighted to be here, Tom.
Your book, let's start with this, the message to your children, and it has to be something for all of us to know.
Be skeptical, be curious, beware of the boys.
Beware of the boys.
Yes, I have 2 little girls.
Okay, well, stay away from senior boys is what I used to always say. Let's stay away from the euro. Here's strong dollar. Weaker euro. Here's the Papandreou comments. Is there's some real concern about getting their house in order. You are the ultimate dollar bear. You told me this morning on Bloomberg Surveillance you're long the dollar. Why is that?
Because everybody's bearish, including me. I read that something like 97% of people were bearish on the dollar. I'm one of those 97, so I bought dollars.
Okay, let's look at dreaded first chart here. If we can, you can see it down here, Jim, on one of the screens. A distance from Athens to Brussels. It's really unraveling. How do you treat the solvency crisis in euro? How does that fold into your investing?
Well, the good news would be if they do let them go bankrupt and then they start over, then you would have, you know that the currency would be a strong currency. They wouldn't let people use phony bookkeeping anymore. They wouldn't let people spend money they don't have. My goodness, the currency would be one of the strongest in the world.
The next day or the next hour, something gets solved, whether it's here or there. That's a sunk cost that disappears, right?
Right.
That's a sunk cost that disappears out. What?
Sorry.
That's your phone?
Yes. Sorry, guys.
I thought it was my. What was I listening to? There's that Lady Gaga. You
That's
got your phone?
Beethoven's Ninth Symphony.
I thought it was Lady Gaga.
The Ode to Joy.
Only you, Ode to Joy. Yes, the gloomster of all time has Ode to. That's a break exclusive right there. Ode to Joy. My word, Jim Rogers with Ode to Joy on the cell phone.
The dollar's going up today, so I've got a lot to be joyful about.
A lot to be joyful. Where was I? Euro. They clear the markets. The only one that gets hurt if they do that are the elites, the haves. Is this a new Gilded Age? Are we doing policy for the haves?
Wait a minute. If they bail out the banks, the bankers get the ones who get benefit from that. The common people don't get any benefit from that. Why should a good, honest German taxpayer suddenly get a bill, a guy who saved his money, who hadn't spent his money, suddenly get a bill from the German government saying, you got to pay for some Greeks who are sitting on the beach drinking ouzo? That's absurd.
The political process that we see of people exiting out of office as those people vote, those German voters vote, will that carry through to protest in the United States?
Of course, we're going to have social unrest in the United States, too. We're going to have much higher prices. We're having serious inflation, which is going to get worse. And we have a government which has no clue, which is sitting down there spending staggering amounts of money, getting us deeper into debt.
What do you want to see from President Obama right now?
Resign.
Well, that's not going to happen. I mean,
no, what he should do is take an axe. No, not an axe. Take a chainsaw to spending in the United States. Cut it dramatically. We've got to balance the budget. We've got to pay off the debt somehow, someday. Let's
look at the weak dollar, but let's look at it the other way. It's a long-term view. Jim, down here, you can see it. Synthetic euro. And there it is. This is the Deutsche Mark inverted. Then we pick up the euro in 1999. And it's that persistently strong euro, now above trend. And usually they start screaming as their exports are threatened. Are they in charge of our weak dollar policy, or are we in charge of our destiny?
No, we're not in charge of our destiny. We're the largest debtor nation in the history of the world, Tom. I mean, no nation in history has ever gotten like this, and they're spending money down there like it's never going to stop coming. It's going to stop coming. Creditors are not going to lend us any money much longer.
And so you're in cotton. Let's bring up commodities here. Chart 4, if you would, Rex, and we'll bring it up here. You mentioned this morning. Cotton doesn't care about the Fed. There it is, a long-term chart on cotton. Up it goes. Let's come back a little bit. You use this as an example. You love commodities still, and only commodities.
I'm long commodities, I'm long currencies, I'm short emerging markets, and I'm short technology stocks in the U.S., and I'm short one U.S. bank.
Would you like to let us know who that bank is?
I got too many friends over there. I'll keep my mouth shut.
A big bank, a regional bank?
Big bank.
Does their logo big, ugly, and blue, or does it have a red umbrella?
We're not going to talk about it anymore.
We're going to get.
I'm short commodities. I'm long commodities. I'm short emerging markets. I'm short American technology and a bank.
We'll leave it there. We're going to come back with Jim Rogers. I want to bring up the Dow chart, if you would, here. Long-term view. You were saying China, U.S., Malays, everybody knows your story. There's the 60, 80-year track record of the Dow. Semi-log, there's a depression. This is a percentage move, and slope matters. And there is that malaise, Jim Rogers, of the last 10 years, mostly financial. Are you comfortable anywhere in the United States owning the bank stocks?
No. I don't want to own any. I don't own any stocks in the United States. Tom, we're the largest debtor. Things are getting worse. The Japanese lost 2 decades when they tried to prop up failure. We've already lost 1 decade. We're going to lose another decade.
We got
the way
a gift
things are
out
going.
of early '09. We got a huge bull market move. Was that a bull market, or was that an intermediate trend in a bear market?
It's a rally in a bear market, just like Japan for 20 years. The Japanese stock market today is 75% below where it was 20 years ago. That's not a typo, because they kept using the wrong policies. They kept propping up failure. They would not let people fail. That's what we're doing.
Your ethos across all your books is you got to be smart, you got to do your homework. Our viewers who say, I'm not as smart as Jim Rogers and he's a big fancy guy with all his access, what do they do with their 401ks? Zvi Bodhi up at Boston University would say just buy zero coupon bonds. What do you suggest?
I wouldn't do that. I'm short bonds as of this morning. I told you this morning I'd be shorting them. I did. If you don't know what you're doing, put your money in the bank and earn interest. It's better to do that than to lose 2 or 3% a year. And the world is full of people who've been losing money in the stock market.
I want to look at chart here on the debt. Chart 2, there it is. Slope matters. It's a new long-term view chart. This goes back to 1920. That's when Jim Rogers got his first motorcycle. There is the debt of the nation, semi-log, slope matters, and it's gotten steeper. That's that Rogers angst you hear. How do we get back to that flat line out of World War II? What was the character of the nation a third of the way over on the left side of the chart where we had flat debt versus this persistent rise recently? How do we get back
there? We were a disciplined nation. We were an educated nation. We believed that you had to work hard. You didn't have a free lunch. Now everybody wants a free lunch. Everybody's a victim. When something goes wrong, they call the government. When Wall Street gets in trouble, they call the central bank. I mean, this is ludicrous.
When you see it, and I want a prescription out of you. It's easy to criticize, and you have been a man of action, moving to Singapore, teaching your children, was it Mandarin?
Yes.
How are they doing?
They speak perfect Mandarin. They speak
Can
like
they
natives.
teach one of my kids is trying to learn Mandarin? It's a struggle?
And they certainly can.
When you, and Rex just telling me corn futures at a record high, not everybody can go 100% into commodities. What does the little guy do in reality with their capital?
Tom, I want to say again, nobody should invest in anything unless they know a whole lot about it themselves. Don't listen to me on TV. Don't even listen to you on TV. Wait until you know a lot about something and invest in that. Otherwise, keep your money in the bank and earn interest.
Eichengreen Green op-ed, bring it up today. Barry Eichengreen Green, exorbitant privilege is the reserve currency of the United States. Scathing op-ed off Project Syndicate, how to kill a dollar. The Fed is playing with fire. Its failure to defend the dollar could ignite a crisis of confidence. At some point, the Fed's tolerance of a weak dollar would be taken as a lack of commitment to price stability. You've been scathing about Chairman Bernanke. What's the action plan you'd like to see from him now?
Resign?
No, come on.
I'm altering.
That's an easy
If
thing.
I were doing it, if I were in charge of the Fed, I would abolish the Fed and resign. Okay, they're not going to do that. What I would do is let the interest rates go to where they should be. I would stop propping up false interest rates. In this country, we are really abusing the people who've saved and their money and put it aside.
Okay.
They're now earning zero. The people who did everything right are being abused, and the people who did everything wrong are being saved.
Is that the definition?
What kind of country is that?
Is that a definition of a plutocracy?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And you know what Plato said? Countries go from dictatorship to oligarchy to democracy to chaos, and then back to dictatorship. Short
of moving to Singapore, what should we do in Des Moines or Dallas or the little town you grew up in Alabama?
Demopolis.
Do you like that? D. I did that, but I didn't get Demopolis. I didn't get that
Demopolis,
right.
Alabama.
What do you do in those 3 D cities?
Well, what you do is, first of all, you save your money and you figure out a way to protect yourself when they're debasing the currency. And the only way that you've traditionally you saved yourself when they debase the currency is you own real assets. You own silver, you own rice, you own natural gas. Whatever's a real asset, that's the only way you're going to protect yourself.
Favorite commodity right now?
Agriculture.
That's a fair answer. Any specific soybeans over corn? Is there anyone that's acting?
Corn's making new all-time highs today, so I would say buy the ones that are depressed. Rice is depressed. Find the ones, sugar's still depressed. Find the ones that are depressed and do some homework. Don't listen to me. Do some homework.
Do you do technical analysis?
No, I don't know how. I'm not smart enough.
You don't do charts and X's and O's and all that?
Well, I look to see. No, I don't know how to do that. I look to see what's happened to prices,
right.
But I don't use that to tell me what's going to happen.
Bob Cinch, Royal Bank of Scotland. Earlier this morning on Bloomberg Surveillance, I spoke to Robert Cinch and I asked him, what does he see an opportunity in foreign exchange?
We still think the opportunity is a stronger dollar in the second half of this year. And against the euro, that would really come from two different directions. One would be continuing lack of comprehensive solution on the debt crisis. The more important part of a euro-dollar sell-off in the second half of the year, however, would have to come from a cyclical rebound in U.S. growth. We really need growth picking up into the 3.5% range in the second half of the year. We think that will come.
Bob Cinch, smart note there from Royal Bank. He agrees with Jim Rogers, go long dollar. Now, when will you know to reaffirm the Rogers short on the dollar?
Well, if the dollar goes up, which I hope it does, I don't know how, somewhere along the line, I'll sell the dollar because the fundamentals are horrible for the U.S. dollar. I'm not smart enough to tell you what I'm going to sell. And by the way, if it doesn't go up, if it continues to go down, I'll have to sell and take a loss.
Dollar on the cover of Bloomberg Business Week 6 months from now, that's a kind of...
Sell it.
I want to talk about equity investment. Okay, we you know, Ibbotson and all the theories and you and the quantum fund a zillion years ago. What's the appropriate return now? Are we in a single-digit world?
Well, yes, for economic growth in the West, yes, that's what we are. And for most people in the investment world, that's what's going to happen. Stocks at best are going to go like this for another. They've been like this for a decade. They're going to be like this for another decade. This is not unusual, Tom. You've had many periods in history when stocks have done nothing. And we're in that period again in the West.
What is your anecdotal observation in Asia in the last 3 months, in Singapore, in China? What's the thing we need to know that you've observed on the ground in Asia?
We need to save and invest for the future instead of borrowing and spending, and that's what we do. We keep running up debts. They keep saving and worrying about the future.
Are you confident on the transfer of power, new 5-year plan, new government presumed in China? Are you confident that will be seamless?
So far, it has been for the past 30 years. I mean, there's going to be unrest in China, just as there's going to be unrest here, because prices are going to go higher. I don't see them throwing out the government, though.
Stay safe on your motorcycle. You wear a helmet?
No, unless I have to, no.
He does not, that's a break exclusive. He does not wear a helmet on his motorcycle. He goes to the Tom Keene timeout chair. Jim Rogers, Rogers Holding. Read this. This is why I know Jim Rogers. Forget about all the recent books, the movie rights he sold. Look at that chestnut from a few years ago. Contrarian investing. Buy and sell when others won't and make money doing it. A million years ago. He was involved in that. Great book. We'll be back at Surveillance Midday.